From a 1,000 piece Lego submarine that actually works, to a life-size room made out of 100,000 Lego bricks. These are 7 of the largest Lego creations I've made so far. Starting with our 1,000 piece build. So my plan is to build a remote control submarine with a depth gauge so we can see how deep down it goes. And it'll have motors so it can go forward and backwards and turn. And I'm gonna make the hole big enough for some Lego minifigures and a camera so we can actually see what's going on the inside. But to make this whole submarine expedition even possible, we're gonna need to overcome 3 major engineering obstacles. Number 1, Legos aren't watertight. When you build Legos together, there's some really tiny tolerances between the bricks that are just wide enough to let water drip through. I've learned this the hard way multiple times on multiple Lego watercraft. In the past, we've already tried putting saran wrap between 2 layers of bricks, which doesn't really work because the bricks just end up tearing the saran wrap. But there is one other option for this, which is to build a box and then put Lego stickers around the seams so that the water can't get in. And I'm pretty sure if we do that for the inside of our hole, that should be a good enough solution to keep the electronics dry. Now we have our hole built up, we kind of know the size we want for this. For the waterproof section of this, that's actually gonna hold like the interior and the motors and stuff, I'm gonna use some of these big panels because they're big and we can snap them together with minimal seams that we'll have to put Lego stickers on top of. So if we snap a few of these together, this will sit in here, it'll be a bit longer, and then we'll have the rest of the submarine that kind of goes around it like this. So we still get the submarine shape. It's still perfectly round on the outside. We're gonna put all the motors and everything inside the box so those won't get wet. We just need to figure out how to motorize our propellers, which are outside the box. Which brings us to our second obstacle, which is motorizing it. And in case you haven't heard, Lego motors aren't waterproof. And most likely, if any water got to this, it would just stop working and we'd be dead in the water, literally. So we have to figure out a way to keep them dry underwater. To fix this, my first idea is to build a pneumatic motor, which will pump air through these little watertight tubes out into where the propeller is on the outside of the submarine. Because if you think about it, the only thing that needs to be waterproof are the motors and the batteries. And I think we can have these floating above the surface on a really long tether, because we're gonna have to get power and controls to this anyway. To build a pneumatic engine, it's actually not as hard as you think. We have one of these things called a pneumatic actuator, and this thing is like a little piston with air and 2 outlets right here. So all we have to do is figure out how to make this open and close a bunch of times to create airflow. And to do that, I'm gonna use a gear like this, and then we just thread that through there. Boom. Now watch this. When we turn this on, it opens and closes the actuator, which means we're getting airflow through both of these tubes. So what I'm thinking is if we take 2 Lego tubes like this, we put one on this side, one on this side, and we attach this to a second actuator. The idea is that these tubes will be able to go through little Technic holes and be completely sealed inside of the little waterproof box. Now, we'll get airflow. Hold on, I got this. See, we got a little bit of movement. Clearly, we need to come up with a little bit of a better generator design because this one is extremely inefficient. Alternatively, what if we just used air? Like obviously we're using air, but like what if we used air to actually propel the submarine forward? Now how much air does this actually generate? Not a lot. I'm a little unsure what to do here. The first design should work in theory because you're taking the same amount of air and just pushing it from one piston to another. So, I don't know how bad of an idea this is, but I think we should try filling one up with water and see if that works. So I've done some experimentation and research, and I found this piece that Lego used to make, which is a boat propeller. And this thing is completely waterproof. All you have to do is twist the bottom, and it turns on. And this actually goes pretty fast underwater, so I think this would be perfect to propel our submarine. It also has this steering mechanism, which is just a rudder, and when you turn it one way or the other, it will actually tell the jet which way to go, so we can steer the submarine. So we have to figure out how to use pneumatics to turn this, to start the propeller, and to move this thing back and forth. So what we need to do is create a pneumatic motor, and then what we should be able to do is build up enough pressure that when we release it, it will open up this thing. I'm gonna try and build this thing up to be a little bit more compact, and add a few more pumps to it so it'll build up more power. All right guys, I've biohacked this thing and I am proud. Watch this. All we have to do, turn on the motor, then we can flip this nozzle, and that will turn it on, and then we can just flip the nozzle back, and that will pull this up and turn off our motor. Let's go. The only thing about this thing is way too big, so we need to really optimize this, make it small, but also powerful enough to actually run this whole thing. And then we need to add one more of these little pistons right here so the submarine will turn. Guys, I did it, check it out. You just open and close this thing and it turns the rudder. But this doesn't require a constant flow of air. This just needs one motor and one little cam to turn this thing. Now that we have the basics of our mechanics and our pumps built up, we need to actually create the waterproof box that's gonna sit inside our submarine. I'm trying to think of how I can fit everything I need inside this box I'm building. And so basically, I'm extending our sub just a little bit. I extended it 6 studs, so theoretically, we can fit this guy, which is now longer, inside of this, and we'll have a lot of room for hopefully everything we need. And that's gonna include room for minifigures and a camera and a light so we can actually see what's going on in the submarine. I just have to upgrade the base a little bit to accompany it, and we can add everything in. And with that, we come to obstacle number 3, making this thing actually sink down in the water and rise up using remote control. The way they accomplish this on real submarines is with what they call ballast tanks, which actually fill with water to increase the weight of the submarine so it becomes negatively buoyant and sinks to the bottom. And then when they want to come back up, they just pressurize those tanks to release the water so they can rise to the top. To build the ballast tank, we're gonna use a syringe so that we can just suck in water to increase the weight and make it negatively buoyant. And I wanna shout out Brick Experiment channel because he made a Lego submarine a long time ago with a syringe as the ballast, and that was really smart. So what we can do is take a piece like this Lego train wheel and put it right there and kind of sandwich it in between there, run an axle through so that we can connect this to our actuator. See, check it out. And now we can open our syringe and suck in water. I'm gonna clip off the end of this and then feed a pneumatic tube through, and that'll go to the outside of the submarine so we can actually suck in water. Oh yes. I don't see a lot of air bubbles in there. Really, not any. That's as much water as we can get in it. So we might need one more of these. No, we barely have room for one of these. We need to see if all the stuff fits in this box. Starting with our camera, which we'll put over here. And then we have our propeller right here on the back. These tubes will feed into the box to our generator, which we can put here. Then we need our steering generator. To power the steering for this thing, I'm just gonna hook up a pneumatic actuator to a motorized actuator. And then if we spin that, it'll translate into this, therefore pushing the air and turning the rudder. You might remember that switch we were using earlier to turn the motor on and off, and this piece is just connected to that. It's a motor, and so it just switches it on and switches it off like that. And it has 2 little stoppers so it doesn't go too far. Since we don't have room for another one of these, we're gonna have to just go with this much, and then we're just gonna make it equally buoyant, so that way it'll just take like even a penny on top of it and it will sink down. So we got 4 tubes that need to come out of this, so I'm gonna grab some of these Technic bricks, and then we're gonna take our pneumatic tube. If we thread this all the way through and pull it really hard, it should create a watertight seal. Now we have the waterproof separation between the generators and stuff and the propeller that's gonna be outside of this box. Now the tough thing is we have all these wires. So all these cables come through here. Now that is not watertight. This is the only place on the boat we're gonna have to cheat and use a little bit of glue. I found these little Lego Marines, which will be our minifigures. In this room here, we're gonna have a camera and a light. So I'm gonna put a few minifigures in a simple little control station so we can see if they'll make it through the end. Here we have our waterproof box, but it's not exactly waterproof yet. So we have our Lego stickers, which were kindly sent by Krazy Bricklink store, the sponsor of this video. They are super awesome. Literally sent me like 20 packs of Lego stickers from a set. Krazy Bricklink store has a bunch of new and used Lego parts and minifigures and stickers. I've really liked their store for a while because they ship really fast and they're super nice over there. So if you do want to increase your Lego collection, click the link down in the description. So we basically need to take these, and I'm gonna avoid doing this section here because this needs to pop off so we can actually access the camera. But the rest of this box around the edges needs to be stickered over the little cracks so that no water seeps in. I'm super hoping this technique will actually work, but we got a lot of stickers, so let's get sticking. In order to be able to control our submarine from the surface, we're gonna need some really long cables. So I bought some Cat 6 Ethernet cable, and what I'm gonna do is separate all the wires and resolder them onto the ends of our motors. And since this thing's gonna be attached to a tether so we don't lose it underwater, we'll just run all these wires up the tether so we can run it to the handheld controller. This will make our wires waterproof. Now that we have our box waterproofed, we can put that on top, and then we just need to build up the rest of the walls for the submarine so we can actually put it underwater and test it out. Another thing I have to add into this is what's called a depth gauge. This goes on like a scuba watch for scuba diving, and as you can see, I've built in this little window here. So when we turn on the light, we can put this depth gauge facing in like that so we can actually see it from the inside camera. And then we're gonna have this light here, which will turn on and face outward. Hopefully with the 360 camera we're gonna put on this, we can actually see where the submarine is going, and it'll just look cooler. I'm a little worried the weight will be off for the ratio here, but we'll see if it works and then go from there, I guess. Pro tip, don't be worried about something until it actually is worry-worthy. And now we just gotta keep building up the walls until we get to the top. Basically, the last thing we have to do for this is just finish building the top and add our 360 camera. This is a really cool device that's gonna allow us to see all the way around the submarine, and I'm gonna build it into sort of like a periscope tower, somewhere about here. And we'll just leave a little bit open for the lens. We're super close to having this thing done, you guys. I didn't actually get footage of this part because I thought it would work fine, but basically I had to test the weight of the submarine so I could make it neutrally buoyant. That way the ballast tank would work. And a few minutes after I put it in the water, I realized it was filling up. Oh no. That's not good. I was trying to measure the weight so we could figure out the ballast tank, but it wasn't sinking. So now we gotta figure out what next to do here. I really wasn't sure why it filled up with water so quickly, so I decided to run a few tests with some Lego boxes completely covered in stickers, and the results were really bad. Dude, it's completely flooded with water. You can also see the water was getting in through the bottom right next to those stickers on the bottom, so the stickers don't even really work that well. Since we can't waterproof the interior, it's basically just gonna be a ticking time bomb before all the electronics stop. We are left with this single option, because I am not giving up. I wanna see this thing go underwater. You guys wanna see this thing sink down in the water, so we are gonna sink it. So to decrease the amount of potential water that can flood in, I'm gonna do a couple things. First, I'm gonna build up some brick walls right next to the box. That way it'll squeeze the stickers together a little tighter and hopefully keep more water out. I'm also going to remove our ballast tank, since it's impossible to trim a submarine that's slowly filling up with water. And that will not only remove another hole from the box, but it'll free up some more space on the inside. And finally, I'm going to add a few more stickers to the inside and the outside of the box to make it as seamless as I possibly can, in hopes that we'll have such a minuscule amount of water coming in, we'll be able to go deeper without it filling up. With all that done, it is time to seal this up and see how deep we can actually get it to go. Maybe even drive it around at the bottom if it makes it that far. This is the culmination of about a month of work, and I'm about to sink it in a lake. So we headed out on the water, and I turned on the cameras and sealed up the sub. I also added a 6-pound weight to the bottom so it would actually sink. I got my custom built controller right here. We got a GoPro right on top. So if we turn this on, there we go. We got propulsion, check it out. All right, so we are good to go. The sub's going in the water. I got my GoPro. Here we have the line that's gonna hold it up. Let's do this. We're off the side. We gotta wait for it to fill up a little bit before it'll sink down. You can see we're right there. We can turn it. The rudder will move. There we go, the rudder moved. We're getting close to neutral buoyancy. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. After a month of building, will it sink? For now, since it is floating around, we can test some of the controls. We will test the motor. So for the motor, we gotta hit this. You should see, is it on? It's not a good sign when air bubbles come out. All right, the propeller shot, I don't know why, but we gotta try and get it to sink now. It's ready to sink, but everything else has gone out. It's basically a disaster at this point, but we're gonna go down to the bottom, sink it, and see what we can see. Here we go. Now it's going under. All right, we're gonna set her down here. It's ready. Bye. Here goes. We are sinking down. We're going. Let's see how deep we can get it to go. Oh gosh. 1 foot at a time. I can't feel when it hits the bottom. It's still going down. Oh, I think we've hit the bottom. I wonder if the inside is flooded. I have no idea what any of this looks like, you guys. I'm just waiting to see basically the footage when it comes back up. But the inside, we know we got a captain in there. We have a few crew members. We also have a lot of electronics. I have no idea if they're getting wrecked right now. I don't know. I guess it's time to pull it back up. I think that's as far as we were going down. Man, it's pretty far down there. Like, I don't know how far we got, but it's down there. Oh, it's still attached, that's a good thing. Looks like a shark, bro. Bam, there we go. Hey. Oh my gosh, it's completely filled. Here we have our submarine. We made it back up to the top with the footage. I'm actually pretty psyched how that turned out. So even though it didn't work out quite like I thought it would, I still had a ton of fun designing this. And just maybe, if I find a way to waterproof Lego, I'll try this again in the future. Today I'm gonna build a giant Lego volcano that actually erupts to see what it'll do to the rest of my Lego city. Hopefully it'll be really cool and not completely ruin all my bricks. So here's the plan. I wanna build a huge Lego volcano, and then I wanna place the remaining buildings from my city around it to see what'll happen to them when it actually explodes. And to make it actually erupt, I have a couple ideas for chemical reactions we could test to see which one will work the best. But first, we have to build our volcano. So I ordered around 2,000 2x4s, and then some greenery pieces to put on top of the volcano. So I got some base plates laid out. We have 9 base plates. What I'm thinking is we just start stacking bricks. I guess let's first make an outline to see how this thing's gonna fit, and we'll use different colors underneath so we don't waste all our brown pieces. Okay, so we have like the basic layout for the volcano, and I've never done this before. I just assume if you create like a round shape, we just kind of taper it up, and that will make a volcano. For the area that's actually going to hold the ingredients that are gonna make this erupt, we're gonna put this like right up here, and then have some sort of mechanism to dump the ingredients in at the top, which means we need to make this thing super tall. Now I think we just gotta keep building up layers and putting structure underneath. This thing is huge. Basically, I'm building it in 3 sections, as you can see, so that we can carry it easier. I kind of want to make a shape like this so it goes up and then slopes. So what I'm doing is I'm stacking like 3 bricks like this so that we can get that vertical shape like this. And then on the next layer, I'll stack 2 bricks, but then I'll move them in 1. That's basically how I'm doing the rock formation. I'm just going up, and then every couple layers I go in 1 stud, and then I go up a little bit more, and I vary it so it's not the same all the way around because we don't want it to look perfect. But I gotta get back to work because we got a lot of bricks to stack. As you can see, there's a little issue here where this middle section is actually a little wobbly because these ones are all, stuck together. We just need to put some cross braces here, and then I kind of want to do pillars inside this because if this breaks apart, we're gonna be in a world of hurt. All right, so I'm thinking if we grab these plates and we put them on here, I hope that's the right size. There we go. They should all go on here. We'll just ignore that because frankly, I don't want to fix it. So now we have that up a little bit. We're gonna probably put it up like a little bit more just so we can put the trash can on. I mean, the volcano chamber. But this thing's looking pretty good. We got the Technic bricks in place. You can see it is a lot stronger, a lot sturdier now. So now as you can see, we have 3 parts. These are a lot stronger, and all we need to do is snap together these like this. Check it out. And this is how far we've come with our volcano. We already ran out of orange, so I've moved over to blue. I've transitioned to blue here. What I'm doing is I'm just going in here and I'm adding a back layer that sticks out enough to where the next couple layers will have stability. And what I'm learning to do is actually build up multiple layers and not make everything the same. Like I want to just add some randomness to it because randomness is what nature is made of. Randomness that God figured out already. And this is how it looks. And that is basically what I've been doing along here this whole thing. I'm also making sure not to cross these over so that they can still come apart. Because I made that mistake like 5 minutes in, and it was frustrating. Honestly, the outside of these are the fun part. The hard part is actually going back in with 2x4s on the inside to make the thing that holds it together because it takes so many more layers. It takes me like 20 minutes per layer. So many colors to make this thing stable on the inside. It's crazy big though. This thing is ginormous. Like, look at how giant this thing is. That's crazy. If you guys are running out of Lego pieces or just need a specific part, you can check out this video sponsor, Krazy Bricklink store, because they have a ton of Lego pieces in stock in different colors and stuff. You can check them out using the first link in the description. They are super awesome. I love them. And they ship fast too, so that's cool. I've taken a Minecraft Steve and stretched him out to make this nice ruler. And so as you can see, we need to build it up to be that high, because then the trash can will sit just about there. But we are super close to finishing this build. It is finally complete. So on this side, I did the grass and stuff because I thought it'd look cool, but on the other side, I left it blank without the grass. But now the volcano exterior is actually complete. Next thing we've got to start working on to integrate in at this level is the mechanism. I'm not actually sure how we're gonna make this thing erupt, but I have a couple ideas of what we could do. I'm pretty sure, I haven't done this in like 10 years. You need vinegar, and then you're gonna get some baking soda. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the vinegar and pour it. And then you grab your food dye, and we're creating here what's called an endothermic reaction, which actually means it's going to be cold, not hot, because that's an exothermic reaction. I want to test to make sure it doesn't dye the bricks. Now we have our baking soda in this test tube, and what we do is we just pour it into the vinegar. And there, our volcano erupts. We might have to get the measurements right, but that's one option. For my second idea for a reaction, we could actually make elephant's toothpaste. This one gets hot, quite close to the melting point of Lego, so don't do this at home. So first we're gonna add hydrogen peroxide, and I'm using 3% here because it'll give less of a reaction. And then we're gonna put some dish soap in with the hydrogen peroxide and a little bit of dye. I know how science works, guys. Well, this is fantastic. We might need to try this again with 6%. not as fast. It's still reacting. I forgot the soap. Ooh, it's going slower this time. Why is it going so slow this time? I don't think this is the stuff. I do have another reaction we can test though. Okay, so for this next reaction, we're gonna do soda and Mentos. So we got 2 bottles of soda and we'll pour them into this thing. And now, all we gotta do is take our Mentos and pour them in and see what happens. Hey, that's not bad. Oh, that's not bad at all. Pretty short though. I mean, it worked, it just didn't work super good. It's kind of done now, it's just kind of bubbling. So after comparing all the options for the chemical reactions we could use, I think I'm gonna go with baking soda and vinegar. For a few reasons. 1, it's not sticky. And 2, it seems to be like the largest reaction because we can do it at such a large scale. And 3, it won't melt the Lego bricks, which is really important because I actually want to keep them. I just need to figure out a mechanism that'll actually help us release baking soda into the vinegar. And I did have an idea for that, where we take a balloon and we just fill it up with baking soda and then we tie it to the bottom of the can or something. And all we need is just to poke it with a sharp object. First, we need to figure out a way to get the baking soda inside a balloon, and I have a good idea. So my ingenious idea is to take a bottle, put this inside the bottle, and expand it so we can actually have space to pour it in. Step 1, we drill a hole in our bottle to let the air out. Step 2, we get our Lego pneumatics, and we're gonna put an output hose here so it'll actually suck the air out of the bottle. So basically we're creating a vacuum chamber. It's working, we just need a better balloon. See, now it's pushing the air out, you can hear it. Why do they keep popping? Just a little more. You can see it's still expanding, so it's blowing that out. And now, if we seal this off, we should technically be able to take this off here. Ah, darn it. Darn it. Okay, let's try again. It's working now. Finally. Here we go. Yes! Dude, now we have a balloon in a bottle. Oh, thank God. All right, there's 5 cups, so now. Nice. This is gonna go under the vinegar, and because it's so heavy, it'll sink to the bottom, and then all we gotta do is get a sharp thing. So I just built up a simple little Technic stick and then taped a pin to it so we can see if it'll work. Then all we gotta do is get our needle and, hey, I mean, not great distribution, but with all the foaming and stuff, I think this should work for a release method. Now we just need to attach the mechanism up here. My plan is to just take the balloon. We basically just want an arm that goes like this inside there and then just kicks over, pop the balloon, and the 2 ingredients will be mixed together. So we got this up and running. All we gotta do is pull the pin here, this thing, we'll pop the balloon. It looks a little weak, but all it literally needs is a tap from the thumbtack or whatever, and this thing will be done. Now to assemble it, and finally, make the volcano erupt. We gotta assemble a city outside though. All right, so as you can see, we have the city set up around the volcano. We have it all ready to go, but now we need to actually fill up the volcano with vinegar. So I have 4 gallons of vinegar here, and I'm going to put this dye inside of each one of them so we can pour them into the volcano. And I'm also gonna add just a little bit of soap because that'll help it foam up and actually look like lava. You see, there's a lot of buildings from the old city that didn't get quite destroyed, so I just laid them around here, put out some roads, and we have minifigures and cars and stuff, and even a hot dog stand that's set up right in front of the volcano for some reason. Probably not the brightest idea. So now we just have to pour all the vinegar in here. We already have it all set up on the inside. We just need, to not break anything, to put the balloon in there, and I'm a little scared to do that. So I guess pour the vinegar first. Here goes nothing. This is a lot of vinegar. We got a little squirt of soap. We should be good to go. So now we got our soap and everything and all the vinegar in there. Last thing we gotta do is put this baking soda thing in and get eye protection. If this goes off, I mean, it's all ready, so it should sink to the bottom. Yes. Okay. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. Here we go. We grab our pin, and in 3, 2, 1. I don't think it popped. Let's just die. There we go. There it goes. Yo, dude, check that out. Oh my gosh, that's so sick. Yo, look at that. Just goners. Dude, that's awesome. Look at this. Wow, I did not expect it to be that much. Oh my gosh, yo. That is literally so cool. Oh my gosh. I did not expect it to do that good at all. That is like, that surpassed my expectations like 200%. Dude, check it out. Just went throughout the entire city and it's still erupting. We put like the perfect amount of soap. Look at him. He's like, ah. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Time to clean up. This will be fun. Today, I'm gonna build a Lego vending machine inside of a mini fridge. Here's how. Not a good time to laugh. This is a mini fridge, and it keeps drinks cold already. My plan is to build a false wall inside of it with some mechanical components on the back so that you can choose and release each soda after you pay. And for this, we're gonna be using miniature sodas. So the first step in making this thing is we need to measure it. I built this Lego measuring rod. It's got a bunch of numbers on it. We need to see how big we're gonna build this thing to put it inside the fridge. Honestly, this thing is quite spacious on the inside. So now we need to build a base for the inside and start building up the brick wall with the clear section so we can actually see the sodas. For the colors for this thing, we're gonna make it red and white because red and white just screams vending machine. So, let's start by building a wall in the front so we can actually receive the sodas. So we want an opening. On top of this thing, we're gonna make a really cool mechanism that actually rotates using a button on the front. So it'll rotate a rack with a bunch of sodas on it and you can choose which one you want to fall down. We're gonna have a coin rejection system and everything, so we'll leave space here for that, but that should be pretty simple later on. Now we just gotta lock everything down and make sure that it sticks. Wow. Overlapping all the bricks by at least 2 studs, and that will make it so that everything sits nicely and it won't fall apart when we lift it up. Okay, so now that we built the walls up a little more, we need to make the coin rejection mechanism. Back when I watched a lot of Lego candy machine videos, I invented this coin rejection mechanism, which is pretty simple for quarters. What you do is you take 2 of these things with the grooves and you add 2 round bricks, 2 more rounded bricks, and then 2 rounded plates, and you cap that off like that. And this is the perfect size to allow quarters to slide across it without falling through, just like that. You can see here nickels fall through, dimes fall through, pennies fall through, but quarters ride smoothly into the drawer where you can pick it up later. The rest of them that don't pass this gap fall down in here, hit a little ramp, and then be returned to the customer. So we just need to put a ramp like right here so that we can return the coins to the customer. Put those right there. And then put this like that. Angle this like this. Cool. So right here, we have this nice smooth design right there, and it's looking pretty good, but what if we put this right there? Now it looks even better. Check that out. Now, if we take our dime, falls down right there because it doesn't slide across. For all you who like to steal stuff, but quarters go right into our collection system and we'll hit a light sensor, which is located here. Anything else will not hit the light sensor. Now we just gotta build a drawer. Push that little tile, we can grip that and then put this on the side like this. All right, so now we have our mechanism. We have our drawer right here. As you can see, it just pulls out like that. This coin rejection mechanism will go into the drawer. Now we just gotta finish building up this wall and add the viewing station, which will be made of clear Lego pieces. So let's do that. I went on Bricklink and I found some clear Lego pieces. These are like little windows, and there's actually a lot more than I thought. So we're going to go all the way across this and all the way up to here with this window. I'm gonna make this a little bigger because that'll look a lot better. Cool. So this is a little sneaky, guys. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this right here and then we can overlap them so that they'll lock together. We simply take something like this, put it right there. And now that is covered up and we can do that all the way around the frame of it and it'll look really nice and be sturdy and locked together. So it's looking really good. We gotta keep going. Whoops. I'm gonna do a test fit just to see what we're looking like here. It's gonna look pretty sick in there, but we should probably move this window up higher. We got a long ways to go here. Okay, so we finished our glass panel, made it a little bigger, and used up all the pieces. So check this out. This goes right there. Doesn't that look good, guys? Yeah, right, that's great, wow. I know it looks a little boring, but we gotta build up the walls and then we gotta add in the actual components and the function, which is gonna sit on top of this thing, so I'm glad we made that sturdy. We might have room for soda storage on top, but I'm not sure. All right, so the last thing we need to do before we can complete the aesthetic of this is fill this in with white tiles. Once we fill that in with white tiles, the cover of this thing will be completely done, and we need to work on the electronics and the mechanism on the inside. Okay, so there we have our little area that they will fall down into. And you may notice there's a little keyboard right there. Well, that's because I put it in, I didn't see it, and then I found it, and I was like, yeah. Now we gotta build the mechanism. All right, I can't see. All right, so I've built this thing up a little bit more. As you can see, it's very large, and I'm having trouble seeing over it, so that's nice. Temporarily, I'm just going to take this off, because then we can see each other. So we have here this platform. We have this opening right here, which the sodas are gonna fall into. So the plan is to put all the sodas into a revolver type thing that will rotate, and then there'll be a little release on this side, which will fold down and allow the sodas to fall into the place where you grab it. But that will only be activated once, maybe 2 quarters, fall into this machine. These are the small soda cans I could find, so these are the flavors we're gonna work with. Essentially, each one will just drop down and probably not explode.
It shouldn't be an issue.
So we need to start working on the casing that's gonna hold all of these. We just need to build a frame around this to kind of hold them in. We use Technic. We want the sodas to be visible because there's gonna be, you know, clear pieces on the outside of the machine. So we just need to find some sort of piece that can actually make a shape that divides by 8. We put a bunch of these together. I think we just did it. Let me just quickly prototype this. I'm really just making this up as I go. I have like an idea for the mechanism, but I don't know how we're gonna do it necessarily. Then we lock it all together with these black pieces again. Now we have this. This spins, and the way we're gonna make that spin. All right, so I don't know how we're gonna make a spin, but will these fit? Yeah, and then all we have to do is just add a couple bumpers on the inside of these so that when you spin this, they don't all slide out. Now we spin this, will it escape? The answer is no, it will not. We add some of these bricks in, that'll add a lot of coolness to it. Cool, all right, now we have this thing that holds the sodas, and it looks a lot cooler than it did a second ago. Here we have our super motor, which we can put on top of this and hopefully spin it, but I'm gonna prototype test it with our controller super motor. Doesn't quite have enough torque. Since torque is important, let's use a gear ratio. Probably the worm gear. Now when we turn this, it spins this very slow, but there's a lot more torque. Turn this into a steel axle. Let's try that. We just have to hook it up to a remote so that we can put the remote as the button. And we hook each battery box up to one of these. That will make it so each one of these motors is getting an equal power from one battery box. And here we go. Ow. Don't get your finger stuck in the motor. We have this thing here. Put this right here. That is literally like the perfect size. The next step is we need to build the trapdoor. To make the trapdoor work, we're gonna use 2 EV3 motors. Mount these in the floor under these areas that
I totally plan to be removable.
These 2 motors are gonna be hooked up to my EV3. In the same EV3, we're going to need a color sensor for the coin reader, and we're gonna need a button sensor that'll trigger the trapdoor, but it won't work unless the coin meter reads coins coming into the machine. That's basically how it's gonna work. So now we need to make a trapdoor with these motors. So if we put some axles inside of these things, like this, and we add a few of these, and we also need to make it as flat as possible so that the sodas kind of skid over it easily. There, now that will sit flush. So now we have the trapdoor. This fits in here. I knew I shouldn't have done such a great job designing this. What's wrong with me? All right, guys, we have this thing that folds down like this to release the sodas, and that actually works and is proven. When I put a soda right here, this thing starts falling down, the soda slides out of, it just explodes. I'm currently realizing we need a place to put the EV3, because I forgot. This is why we plan ahead, so we don't have to spend hours trying to fix one simple thing. Light sensor will go right here, just like that. So now we need to mount the button for the EV3, and we need to mount the remote. This is the switch. Beautiful. That shouldn't mess with the can, hopefully. Now this button clicks in right there, and then if we take this, you can see it presses. Stop! Darn it. Maybe we should have some sort of pillow down there for when these fall. Short intermission while I clean this up. All right, now that we've cleaned that up-ish, now we need 2 layers of plates and 1 layer of tiles across this whole thing. Now to mount this thing onto this, all we gotta do is add this one simple piece like this and cover the rest with tiles. This thing snaps on to this. It still spins, but it just holds it on there. So now, put this thing in here. Okay, now we've made it to the point where we can actually start coding. we're done. Okay, that didn't actually, I have to actually do it now. So I'm having an issue with this trapdoor where sodas are kind of heavy, so they push it down. It makes it so that when the revolver is spinning around, they actually get stuck. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna add in these worm gears to the motors, because as you can see with worm gears, you can't turn this gear. It's just not possible, so that will keep this thing up. The motor that's gonna be attached to this will be able to turn, which will still rotate it. Also tried using slopes, and that didn't work because it would get more stuck. So I'm gonna try that and see how it works. All right, we just fixed it. Check it out. They roll super smoothly across that. Now we just gotta make an adjustment to the code for the motors to account for the worm gear ratio, and then we should be able to actually test this thing for real. Now I'm gonna show you guys the mechanics behind this thing that actually makes it work. There's a USB battery bank right here, and you just plug that in via USB, and the lights turn on, so that's pretty cool. You can also move the sodas without having to pay, so it's still a cool function. It rejects pennies, which fall through, nickels, and dimes. As you can see, quarters though, go right down and get triggered by the light sensor. There's a little curved piece right there that makes it so you can effortlessly slide the soda cans over it. You see here the worm gear that's powering the whole thing. And then for the trap door, there's 2 more worm gears right here and here that actually hold the thing up. And if you put your hand or a towel down here, it won't explode. Trapdoor releases it, and there you go, you have a cold soda. To get your coins out, you just slide it out of the fridge a little, and then grab this little drawer, which has a bunch of quarters in it. So we're gonna put it inside the fridge, but first we move it over here.
I don't feel very helpful. I'm literally not doing anything.
Ella, I just need you here so that I feel less and do everything for this channel.
I'm gonna dream that
Now I need you to
my
hold it
mini
up.
fridge away.
What? All right, this goes in here. And that goes in there like that. All right, now we just gotta plug it in and turn it on and then wait 4 hours for the sodas to cool.
Do I open the thing?
Yeah, so you just open it and then there's coins right there. So you can select which one you want with that little black knob, and then you just center it over the little trap door there.
Satisfying.
Now it's just going for the Sprite. You want to make sure to catch it when it falls
So
out.
satisfying.
And it resets.
Wow, that is so cool.
Dang. I think this thing turned out honestly super sick. You can see it's 46 degrees, so like not super cold, but this fridge only gets so cold. It stays in the fridge, and as you can see, and now we have a root beer. This thing is so cool, like honestly. My favorite part is probably just watching the sodas get chosen here. Today, I'm gonna build a Lego aircraft carrier and then test it out to see if it can actually work in the water. I've only built one other Lego boat, which was the Noah's Ark build I did, and that one filled up with water pretty quick. So we're gonna have to do a bit better this time. The plan is to build a 5-foot long Lego aircraft carrier with a hangar inside for storing aircrafts, a catapult launch system, and even propellers to actually make it move. The first step is to start building up the whole of the ship to be waterproof. I had to buy a lot of pieces for this. So I'm gonna lay down the first few layers on these base plates, and then we'll have to taper it out and up from here. This brings us to our first problem, which is these cracks in between the base plates. The thing about Lego is that they're not exactly watertight, but I do have a plan for how we might be able to fix that. I bought this heavy-duty saran wrap, which hopefully, if we put it between the plate layers, it can actually help keep the water out and kind of seal the cracks. This worked okay for the Noah's Ark build, but that was regular saran wrap. This is actually ultra premium strong. We just take this and stretch it right over the first layer, and then we'll just add another layer of plates. I'm gonna put a layer of bricks all the way around this, and then we're gonna start tapering it out and overlapping them. And the goal is to overlap each one of the bricks so that none of them are like stacked right on top, because it makes the gaps bigger. So we're gonna start by building up tall layers and then transition to shorter layers. We're gonna do that at a larger scale, but that's the kind of shape we're looking for. We just gotta keep building this up until we get high enough to where we can add the propellers, which are gonna make this thing move. All right, here we have the hull so far. And as you can see, it's not bending, which is a truly good sign. Now, what we're gonna do is build propellers for it. the propellers need to be in the bottom, underwater. But we can't just drill holes into the side of this and then stick axles through for the propellers, because then water would get in. And the whole point of using the saran wrap and all that stuff is so that water doesn't get in. So my plan is to attach some propellers on 90-degree actuators so that we can stick the motors and everything on top, but the axles will lead all the way down to the propellers, which will make it actually go. Pretty much the closest thing to a propeller Lego makes with an axle hole is this, and this is literally the size of my thumb. They do make these blades, so if we attach some of these together, we could get a pretty good propeller. All right, we have our finished propeller design. Now, I know what you're thinking. That is really looking complicated. I don't know what's happening. Also, you're spinning it around. We basically just had to angle each one of the propellers and then hold it in place with these pieces here. So if we grab our motor and our battery box here, will it work? I think we need to actually test this underwater. Maybe they'll start moving, let's see. Oh, we overdrew the motor already. This is good news, or no, it's not. This is news, we need a gear ratio. Would you quiet? Now we've added a small gear ratio here. Let's see if it works. Oh wow. Dude, this thing. What's happening is the motor is sensing that too much power is needed, so it shuts off because the water is slowing it down. I'm thinking if we just remove one of these guys, that might be enough because that's a lot of power. Nice. Okay, it shut off again. Well, at least we know that the propeller works. Now we just have to figure out the gear ratio and the system that's gonna make this go underwater instead of having the motor level with it. So that's underwater. So now that we have a working propeller design, I'm pretty sure, my plan is to use these little 90-degree thingamajigs. And if we attach two of these like this, we can make it actually spin at a 90-degree angle. They're gonna sit right about here, but I can't install them because clearly the walls aren't high enough. I'm just gonna build up the walls a few more layers until we get to the area where we're gonna build the hangar. And now, we just kind of start at the bottom and then work our way up. Dang it. I was trying to move a brick and I made a little hole. I'm gonna add an extra piece of saran wrap there and hopefully that'll seal it in. We got the first layer of bricks over the saran wrap. End of day one building this, and my plan tomorrow is to add another layer of saran wrap because as you can see, I was a little short in the measurements. So yeah, now we just gotta build up these walls higher, and we'll be good to move on to building the hangar. For the floor of the hangar, I'm gonna use a bunch of tiles. I think if we hammer these down, that'll really seal the floor. That is gonna be really strong. That's an issue. The thing about adding the saran wrap is that there's just a little bit too much space between the bricks. Obviously that's not the, best thing for this, but I think sacrificing that is gonna help for the waterproofing, so it's worth it. So I just gotta finish up the floor and then we're gonna add an elevator that actually works to raise the jets up to the top. This thing is ginormous. Literally, this is already bigger than the Noah's Ark build we did. We got the inside that we can detail. I just added some plates and tiles to the ground, and I did like 3 or 4 layers of the saran wrap in different places. Now I built up these walls here that'll be 4 thick. It doesn't have saran wrap around the top part, but I think I have a genius way to kind of soak up some of the water that'll leak in. I sliced up SpongeBob into 30 different pieces. Actually, I just bought a bunch of sponges, and these will go inside the walls, and hopefully any extra water that comes in will just get soaked right into the sponge. It'll also keep the ship super clean. Sorry, I think that was my last sponge joke. You're good. Dude, perfect amount. 32 sponges, and that didn't make it much heavier. We're gonna weigh this guy. What does it say? That's it?
You strained yourself a lot to lift that.
This is how you lift this. I also want to put an elevator in this that the jets can go onto, and that'll raise up so it'll be flush with the top of the surface. They actually have these giant elevators on the aircraft carriers, and it's pretty cool. This will be our elevator. So my plan is to put this on 2 pulleys that'll be controlled by these 2 motors, and it'll basically raise it up and down. The problem is this is gonna be really fast, so let's grab a worm gear. This thing has a gear ratio actually built in already, so hopefully this will make it go just a little slower. Let's try this. There we go, that's very elevator-y. We just gotta find a way to mount the motors to the base. There we go. Now that we got the basic mechanism, all I gotta do is install this in the hull of the ship, and ideally it'll work. Hey, it's working, let's go. Uh-oh, well there's one issue. So it just needs a little bit of fine tuning, but the idea is there. And then so this is level with the top, I'm just gonna put a layer of bricks on it, as well as a ramp right in front so the jets can actually get onto it. There we go, look at that. Hey. Cool, Next thing we need to do is build some jets for the hangar and the interior. Here we have our fleet of fighter jets done. You can see I got a little dude for scale. That's the size the people are gonna be. I also built a Black Hawk helicopter and a little shuttle to get people from A to B inside the aircraft carrier. We just gotta finish decking out the hangar with all the living spaces and stuff where these are gonna go. And now we've completely finished the interior of the hangar. We have our engine room right here, a nice cafeteria with some round tables, and then moving over here we have our living quarters, just a lot of beds. Building stuff in mini scale presents an interesting challenge, but it looks pretty good in my opinion. Now we need to build the top deck, which is going to have a system for launching jets. And since that's the most important thing, I think I'm gonna build that first. So basically what we need to do is build a simple catapult that can shoot one of these jets. And so on the bottom, as you can see, I've added some of these nice little rounded plates. And what these allow us to do is actually build a track for it so it doesn't go right or left. All right, now that we got the base built out, we just need to build a sled that will actually push the jets across. So I have some elastic. I'm gonna do something similar to what I did for my crash test simulator. So when you stretch it back and put a pin in it, you can just let it go and it'll snap the thing forward. And here we have it. It looks like a little plane, but this is gonna work. I just gotta install the reverse part of the track on the bottom that'll hold these little things. All right, so this is what I came up with. As you can see, on the bottom, we have the sled. Right now, the way this works is the Technic bricks inside of this have a little hole. I'm gonna stick this right here. Oh gosh. Eye protection. We just wanna push it back into the butt of the sled and boom. All we have to do is pull this little temporary pin right here. This thing is perfect. Now we just need to take one of our motors and build a little release mechanism that will pull the pin out for us. Watch this. That works. Push this guy back, locks in, and you cannot move that. And this is just a pretty simple rotational linear actuator mechanism that just works like this. We have a radar gun. We're gonna see how fast it actually shoots. I want you to put it right here so it doesn't hit the lens.
I'm scared.
Get me. Here we go.
Ow.
Oh, sorry. 16 miles an hour.
I worked out. It broke my wrist.
Sorry, dude. 18 miles an hour. This thing shoots pretty fast. Check it out, I even built a heat shield deflector. And that's just built using a linear actuator and this little 90-degree thing here. It just pushes it up like that. Now that we got the release mechanism complete, we can actually install this thing on the top of the deck, which we need to build as well. We're gonna need a lot of these plates. Okay, so I'm gonna line the outside with these plates, and then we'll come in with some tiles and structure to kind of sandwich them between. And then as you can see, we'll take our launcher and put it right at the front. This thing is ginormous, oh my gosh. Now we just gotta add some bevel pieces, like these little wedges, to the corners, and then really just lock all these pieces together. I have them tacked together, but that's not gonna work, so. You can see we have the catapult installed in the flight deck, and this thing, luckily, I just built it with some tiles, so you can just lift it up as one little panel. We can also install the propellers. I added just a simple gear ratio to this to make it go a little bit slower, because it was way too fast. And that spins the blade that'll go into the water. I'm just gonna build a little control station at the back here to kind of hide these and hide battery boxes. Then I'm gonna grab a handful of bricks and go one layer around the very outside of this, just to make it look nice. And that'll also probably keep some of the water from getting on top of the boat. I wanna add some parking lines for the planes on top, and so what I'm doing is building in these little jumper plates to the tiles. If we put them in just the right layout, we can actually add tiles on top and it'll snap together at an angle. Check it out. Just kind of a cool technique if you need to build tiles at an angle instead of having everything be flat. The last thing we have to do is just build the control tower right here. We have these two cables that are gonna go into a battery box, and this should be the last of our motorized things. We just have to hide this in the control tower and add a bunch of dishes and radars and stuff that makes it look like the actual one on the ship. I'm just gonna ad-lib this because I have no idea what's on a real control tower, but it looks like there's some rooms and then some dishes and things that branch out, so we're gonna go with that. I'm a little concerned this is gonna be a bit too heavy and cause this ship to tilt. What I'm gonna do is weigh this, and then I'm gonna take that weight in sand, fill a few tiny bags, and then put that on the other side of the ship. I really don't want that to cause the ship to flip over. It's done, you guys. We are finally ready. We can take it to the water and test it out. I have no idea if it's gonna work, but really hopeful. Let's get this thing loaded up. All right, guys, we're here at the pool. We have the aircraft carrier. This thing is huge. Took 22 hours to build, and we're finally gonna test it out. I'm gonna test this launcher before we actually put it in the pool, just in case it doesn't float. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this guy back like this, and then we're gonna push this button. And that will lock it in place like that. And then what we're gonna do is put up the heat shield. And so to do that, we just click this button, just like that. And then we just gotta hit the release. Let's test this out in 3, 2, 1. Dude, look how far that went. Check it out. The launcher obviously works, but now we're gonna put this thing in the water and fully test it with propellers and all. This is so nerve-wracking, dude. I have no idea if this is gonna float or not. Here we go, you ready? 3, 2, 1. It's floating! Yes! Oh, it worked! It's working. Let's go. Now we just gotta attach the propellers, and now, full back. Let's see if this actually works. Oh, that's forward. Hold on, we gotta go back. I'm just gonna stand completely still, see if it starts coming towards me. It's moving, right? Dude, it's working. All right, is it filling with water? I don't really see any water. Like, I think the thing is just high enough. Let's see if we can turn here. So we'll go 1 forward, 1 backwards. We're gonna try and turn it counterclockwise. Dude, it's actually working. You can see the hole underwater is staying together. Nice. Oh, we're gonna crash. Full back, full back. We bumped it a little bit. So we're gonna load a jet on, pull this guy back, and there we go. We're loaded, which means probably not the best idea to stay in front of this. So we're gonna rotate it around, and I'll probably do it with the remote. Then this thing should rotate. Do-do-do. This is, I'm not messing with this. These propellers are actually working 100% on the back here. All right. Okay, it's taking too long. We're gonna turn it manually now. We're gonna launch this in 3, 2, 1. That's so cool. We even have the little elevator in here that goes up and down. There is some water in there. We put the elevator up like this and raise this guy up to the top. Check it out. There we go. So we can move the planes, or the jets, from the bottom to the top. On the way here, it got a little off center, but boom. As you can see, it actually works in water. It moves around. This is, I'd say it's better than the Ark. 3, 2, 1. Now it's time to finally see if it's full of water. Dang it. I'm positive those sponges are completely soaked. Today, I'm gonna build a working Lego pinball machine to add to my studio. And then I'm gonna get several of my friends to test it out to see if it's as fun as a real one. Because I think it'd be fun to just have a pinball machine without spending $5,000 on one. My plan is to build a Marvel-themed pinball machine with different obstacles and targets so you can score points, and I even wanna incorporate some elements that move from some of my favorite heroes. The first step is to build the floor, and then we're gonna angle it so the ball can actually roll downhill. Kind of important to the gameplay mechanics. And we'll make sure to add some holes for the jackpot and build in some cool designs for this too. So now here we have our floor for the pinball machine. And as you can see, I've placed several bricks that stick out. That way we can just snap in our mechanisms. We also have this little wall right here because this is where the plunger is gonna be to launch the ball up so that you can actually play. Before we can build the obstacles and stuff though, we need to build a box, the frame of the machine to fit this in that'll go around this. So we need to build a very strong base. Step 1 is lay out the plates. So this thing's gonna be 5 plates wide, and then it's gonna be 9 plates long. So we need to fill in this entire thing with plates, lock them all together, and then use some Technic bricks on the inside so that it doesn't fall apart. Step 2 is to re-certify all the plates with bricks. Step 3 is to take a bunch of Technic bricks and actually lock together all these plates further, because the Technic bricks are longer and a bit stronger when you hook them together with pins. I've had to push down so many bricks for this project, and these things are really saving my fingers. They're just little silicone thumb covers, because the skin on my fingers from pushing down all these bricks was actually starting to rip. Step 4 is to take a bunch of these blue pins and put them through the Technic bricks to hold them together. Sometimes they don't go, so you gotta hammer them in. Probably not great for the pieces, but I like to save my fingers any chance I get. Then we just gotta fill in the rest of the empty space with more bricks, and we'll add another layer of plates on top to sandwich all this together. Once it starts looking like a QR code, I'm almost done. Okay, here we have the base. This thing, check it out, it is sturdy. This goes right there. I left 2 studs on each side so we can build up the walls. Now we just gotta add the walls to this and build up some slopes to hold it in place. This is gonna work really good. Hey, okay, it works. So now we just need to build sort of a funnel underneath these holes so that when the balls fall in, it'll actually roll back down here so you can reset it and shoot it again. So I'm just gonna build that really simply using some plates and Technic bricks. And then I'm just gonna take a bunch of blue bricks and build up the walls around this to hold everything together. And then we can start adding the mechanisms and obstacles and everything that's gonna turn this into a functional pinball machine. All right, so now we got our ramp in here, and as you can see, if we drop a ball through any of these holes, it will roll down right to the front where you can get it back. Same here, and same here. I was gonna build a really complicated elevator right here to bring the balls back up in front of the plunger so you can launch them, but then I realized there's not a whole lot of room, and that just sounds like a lot of work. So instead what I'm gonna do is put a little hole right here, and then a hole in the top so you can just move the ball manually. Because why should I work extra hard when you're the one playing the game? And then with one more ramp, our ball return system is complete. But we are missing one thing, which is a way to stop the ball when the game is over. For that, all we really need is a little motor, and we can build this into a swinging door, which should be pretty simple. Add this guy, we can put our motor right here. Now our ball comes down, then we make it turn, boom. We could even probably turn this into a cross shape, and then we could have multiple balls in the queue, but it would only let out one at a time. Dude, that's genius. That works way better than the other design. To keep score, I'm actually putting button sensors underneath so that when the ball falls through the hole, it'll press that and then roll down to be released from this little guy. And these are all built really simply. It's just a little button underneath and then this thing so you can actually press it. Now that we got the ball mechanism working, it is time to build the flippers so that we can actually hit the ball and play the game. We just need to come up with a mechanism that'll sit on the bottom of the floor to turn the pushing motion into a flipper. So if we pretend this is our floor, my idea for the flippers is to use a gear and a gear rack to translate the pushing motion into a rotating motion. So what we're gonna do is grab a few of these little gear racks like this and attach a plate like this. And then if we use something like this gear, like that. Now you can see if we push in this gear, we get the rotating motion on the front. It makes the flipper move. And you'll notice the smaller we make the gear, the less we have to push the button for the flipper to move. So if we turn this into a tiny gear, yeah, that's perfect. Snap a few plates together here with the tile and boom. Now that thing slides freely. And then we just need another piece across here to lock it in. Random fact from my week. I was in Walmart, again, walking next to the produce aisles, and I saw this middle-aged woman who was like jumping up and down. And I was like, what is she doing? Apparently she was trying to get swinging off the top shelf. And so I just kind of looked over and kind of like laughed. I know, really kind of evil. I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together that she actually needed help. But then the guy next to her kind of like looked at me and he like pointed. He was like, apparently I forgot that I'm 6'3" and I could actually reach what she was trying to get to on the top shelf. So I went over and helped her out and I was like, sorry, because I was like laughing at him, right? I felt kind of bad after that one. Comment down below if you have a funny story from your week. Oh yeah, just added a little rubber band on the back and boom. We just want to integrate our flipper design into these Technic holes right here. Now I don't really like these paddles, so I'm gonna make some better ones, and then we can start adding the obstacles to the machine. There we go, we're in. Now that we got the floor installed and the flippers are actually working, we can start adding our obstacles to the top. The first obstacle I want to add to this is a Hulk fist that actually sits up here and punches back and forth to cover the hole. We're gonna make all these obstacles Marvel or Avengers themed so that it all fits. It'll be pretty cool in the end. For this one, I'm gonna start by building the fist, and then I'll come up with some sort of mechanism to actually make it move. Okay, so we got our fist right here. We just need to figure out a way to make it punch across this hole so that it kind of covers it up. That way it'll make it a little bit harder to score the point. So I think the best way to do this, since we have to go pretty far, is to actually use a gear rack and a motor underneath. Perfect, look at that. And then we'll actually put this upside down right here, and this can be mounted flush like this. Okay, look at that. It's perfectly aligned with that little track we built. You can't really attach this to this, so we just gotta figure out a way to do that. We're gonna do an illegal building technique. We're gonna take one of these 1x2s and attach 2 of these little pieces in it so that we can attach the pieces back to back and have studs on both sides. And that's really, really strong. So now, if we put this on here, put on our fist, check it out. And we can program in the max amount it'll spin so that it doesn't break the whole thing. But that's perfect, let's add this guy. That should work pretty well. And then using a few bricks with some Technic bricks at the top, we can actually create a little spinner here for the ball to roll through. It's looking really good so far. The next thing I want to add is a swinging Thor hammer that'll cover the hole right here on the left. For this, we gotta start by actually building the hammer, and then we're just gonna put a simple motor underneath. Let's add this guy. And then right over the hammer, I had this idea to build one of those little ramps that are made out of like tiny metal bar pieces. So I think what I'm gonna do is just try it with a bunch of plastic bars that are like bendable and try and create a shape that goes up and around. It probably won't work, but I think it'll still look cool and it'll let the hammer still swing under it. If we use some of these little droid arm pieces, we can actually connect the bars in sort of a loop shape. That is actually pretty cool.
except for the part where it gets stuck. I don't think anyone's gonna actually get things up there.
But it looks really cool, so I don't think it matters.
The next obstacle I want to add to this are some slingshots. Those will have rubber bands so they can actually bounce the ball around and be kind of annoying to the player.
And since we have a Marvel theme and these are usually triangle shaped, I want to make them look like Spider-Man's eyes. So I'm going to use a bunch of white wedge plates and lay those out to get the right shape, and then we can lock it together on the bottom and add the rubber part. Now I just want to build a red outline around these using more wedge plates to kind of separate it from the background more. Now we can take some rubber bands around the bottom of these and add them to the floor. Ta-da! How did that happen? We'll put our rubber bands on here, just like that.
And just attach our eyes right on top.
Dude, look how sick that looks. That's perfect.
The next obstacle I'm gonna add is just a few round bumpers. I'm gonna make them look like Captain America shields. And with a little Technic pin on the bottom, we can just snap these right into the Technic bricks. All right, this is looking really, really good.
There's only a few more things to add before this will actually be done, like the glass on top and the thing that's gonna actually launch the ball, which is the plunger. So for that, I bought a Nerf gun.
And I'm just gonna take the screws out, grab the spring out of the mechanics of this.
Aha. Then if we get a metal Lego lift arm from Metal Technic Parts, not sponsored, we pull back on this, it should catch. Oh. Now, theoretically, if we hold on to this should launch. Perfect. Essentially, I think if we just create a little knob on this side, we can install this in the machine. Let's test this and see if it actually fits in there.
Look at that. Plunger is complete, but check it out.
To actually program this whole project, I asked my friend Sten from Creative Mindstorms to actually code a scorekeeper. So once the ball falls in, it'll actually push the button, which will up your score, and you'll have 60 seconds to get as high a score as possible.
Look at this. He coded all that, and then whatever the heck this thing is.
Again, I want to thank my friend Sten because he is like so smart when it comes to coding. Funny thing, he's working on his own Lego pinball machine, so I'll leave a link in the description to his channel down below. Make sure you guys check that out.
So now that we got this all basically hooked up,
We just need to finish making it look like a pinball machine. And for that, we need to build up this back part, and I'm gonna add a giant glowing Marvel logo.
as you can see, we made it about this far up the wall, and I added the controller, which is gonna show the score right here. So now for this big black part of the wall, I wanna put a Marvel logo that's brick built,
and I wanna add a light behind it so it'll actually glow. So to make this Marvel logo actually look good and not all blocky, I wanted to use slopes. But then I realized I don't have enough of these slopes to make all the wacky angles that are in it. So that's not gonna work. Then I thought we should use wedge plates, and actually this might work. So what I'm gonna do is just build the outline of the logo around the edges and then put white paper behind it and put a light back there so it'll actually light up and glow. You guys see it yet? Isn't that kind of cool how it works? Marvel. Now we're just gonna lock all these together with a little frame around it, and we should be good to go.
Look at how great that turned out. And it's all one piece. I even got the little registered trademark symbol there. So now we can add this to the machine. I think the best way to do that is just to stick some snot bricks on the back here, and then we should be able to just snap it on.
Now I'm just gonna lock in these pieces of paper. We'll finish this guy up. Guys, I just discovered something. I really wanna get a straight line right here using bricks. So I was thinking we could just take a piece of thread like this and then stretch it just tight to the bottom where we want it to end. And now we know we can just build up to the line, just like that.
And then when we put the glass on here, it'll just fit perfectly and be straight with the sides.
The last thing we need to add to this machine is a glass top. And since Lego doesn't make glass, we're gonna use a bunch of clear window panels and stack them up to make it look like a real pinball machine. Lucky for me, for the last few years, I've been investing in these clear Lego glass panels. So we can snap a bunch of these together and create a wall, and that'll turn into our glass top. There we have our clear glass window. Now, pop this off. And so that we can actually put the ball in at the bottom, I'm just gonna pop out that piece right there. Now that we have the final piece, we can add it to the machine and actually test it out. Let's go. Finally, after over 13 hours of hard work, we have the Lego Marvel Pinball Machine. It is finally complete, and now we get to test it out. As you can see here, we have our two flipper buttons on the sides, and we have this nice clear glass on top of it right now. That turned out pretty good, but I'm gonna take it off because you can't really see what we're playing. We also have the little ball return right here, so you can take your pinball and put it right inside, drop that in right in front of the plunger, and then the goal is to get as high a score as possible within 60 seconds. Before we test this thing out though, you guys, make sure you subscribe so you can become a member of the Brick Science Stud Army. And make sure you hit the bell icon too so you don't miss any videos. I have a couple friends that are gonna come over and test it out and see if you can get the highest score.
Oh, hey! The Lego pinball machine. Oh, it's got marble. That's so cool.
Oh, dude, this is sweet. I haven't played pinball in forever, so you just pull this?
You got your flippers, button here and button there. This one's worth 1,000 points. This one's worth 500. This one's worth 300. Oh, that was so close. No.
Yeah.
You're not very good at pinball, bro.
No.
Don't take this the wrong way. How can you break so many things and still not get the ball up to the top?
I'm trying to get it up there.
How is the ball? No, wait for it to settle on the spinner and then hit it up.
All right.
This is our first test here, and some things break off, but that's okay. It is made of Lego after all. Hey, I got it. You got this. Oh! Hey! Dude, you got 2,000 points. Yo! Good for you.
I'm gonna make the one in the middle.
Okay. I mean, you didn't really do anything for that, but I'll give it to you. You got 1,000 points. Keep going. 2,000. Dude, you could beat Christian. 30 seconds left.
I'm so excited.
Ready? Yes!
I'm gonna get the whole one, I think. Or none.
Dude, you tied Christian.
That is awesome.
Thanks, man.
Overall, I'm super happy how this turned out. It is a little bit breakable, but I mean, really, what did you expect? It's made of Lego. I think I'm gonna keep this around the studio for a while, because it's pretty fun.
Today I'm gonna build the Ender Dragon out of Lego. It's gonna have light up eyes and even sound effects. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Also, shout out to everyone who recommended this idea in the comments, because there were a lot of recommendations. So step one, we need to get the dimensions for this thing. If we go with the dimensions we usually do, where we make 1 pixel equal to 1 brick and 2 plates, this thing would need to be 264 2x2 bricks long. So we're just gonna scale it down halfway, so for every 2 pixels on the model, we're just gonna use 1 of these, which means we're gonna need a lot of these. We can start by building the head. So the base for the head is going to be 8x8. Basically just a big cube for the head, and then upper jaw and a lower jaw, and then there's like spikes on top. And we're actually gonna make the eyes light up. First layer done. We literally just have to keep building. So to actually attach the jaw to the front of this, I'm gonna add some joints in here just so we can actually bend it later. Here are some joints. So let's grab 2 of these. And then what I'm simply gonna do is just add this in here, just like that. We just lock it together with a couple of these pieces. And then I'm just gonna take the same thing right up here. Now we have some beautiful lips. As you can see, it will open like this. Nice. Except it's breaking. That's another thing we're gonna have to worry about. If we build up a bunch of pillars with these pixels that are not connected, this thing's gonna be super flimsy and fall apart. So I built a bunch of longer ones, which are the same dimensions tall. You can actually lock them together on these. We'll just combine these with the single pixels, and then everything should lock together good. Now we just need to add the eyes on the front. So to make the eyes light up, we have this battery box and these Lego power functions light. And as you can see, it lights up like this. So now if we put this inside the head, we can feed these wires right behind the eyes. And now the eyes light up. For the front of the eyes, we're just gonna use pink. The eyes are pink for some reason. And we can actually make a simple little mechanism here so that we can turn this on and off from the top. And now we have a little button on top. Cool. And then for the mouth, we just need to build up something that is 2 high, 6 wide, and 7 long. Cool, and now we basically have the bottom jaw. Now we just need to build the top jaw. There's some color on the inside of the mouth on the actual model, but I'm not gonna add that.
Because I'm cheap.
That does actually look pretty fire though. So now we have the head completed. The next step, we're gonna build the torso because everything kind of attaches to that. So now I just need to make a bunch more pixels because honestly, I don't think this is gonna be enough. Let me just quickly give you a sense of scale for the torso. It's 32 pixels long, so, and 12 wide. And then it needs to be 12 bricks tall. Other than locking the base together, there's not a lot we need to actually do. First, let's start with a simple layer of black to lock this all together. And now I'm gonna take Technic bricks and go all the way around the base of this and connect them so that we have a stronger foundation. That's a lot stronger now. Now we gotta keep building until we get to the place where we can attach the legs. So to make the legs actually hinge on the body, I have an idea for how we can make that work. We just need a special piece that's over there. So right here, we have some of these pieces, and I think these are just right because if we just find a way to attach them like that, I think that should work pretty well. When you attach like a piece like this, that can actually stick on the stud. That way we can kind of merge the Technic with the bricks and the studs we already have. thing's not trot in there. This thing's pretty strong. We just gotta really add a lot of these long pieces around the joint. That's not going anywhere. Now we just gotta install 3 more for the other 3 legs before we can finally figure out how we're gonna make the wings flap, which I still don't know how we're gonna do, but. Okay, so I just got this other brace in here. As you can see, it is very strong. I used diagonal shapes because triangles, you know. Over here, as you can see, this will hold the tail, and this side, this will hold the head, which is perfect. As you can see, I left these gaps here in the sides for the little lift arms to come out and actually move the wings. So the next step is to build a mechanism that's capable of doing it. And I have an idea for that, I just haven't tested it or anything yet, so let's see. For the wing mechanism, my idea is we make a worm drive using a worm gear. And to motorize this, I'm just gonna use some simple power functions motors. We grab, say, this thing, and we attach it somewhere, say, I actually don't know what I'm doing. And boom, we have motion. Is it the right kind of motion? No. So honestly, I have no idea if these wings are gonna work. But before I can say that for sure, we actually need to build the wings. I was going to do this later, but it seems like a good idea to do it now. Each wing is going to be 112 studs long and 56 studs wide per wing. So I had to order some parts. Luckily though, this video sponsor, Krazy Kai's Bricklink store, had me covered, and I was able to get the parts that I need. Hopefully this will be enough. So as you can see here, I got a lot of long, light bluish gray plates. I also got some black plates that are 6x6 to create the wing shape. Krazy Kai's is a Bricklink store that sells new and used Lego parts, and if you guys want to check them out to increase your Lego collection or just get a specific piece you need, click the first link in the description. They're super awesome. Let me lay these out. So since these wings are so big, I'm thinking if we build it upside down, then we can lock it together from the bottom and just simply lift it up. We need to create this shape on this. So if we go, okay, so now we have the entire outline of the wing, almost at the bat wing, laid out. Now we just have to fill it in with a ton of black plates. So I just got this all filled in with black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these pieces, which have like the slimmest profiles, and snap together all the edges. That way when I hammer on all the inside pieces, it won't break apart everything and move everything around. To make this hinge, all I'm gonna do is just add a couple of these little hinges all the way across this, and then add some pieces to lock them in. Cool, and now, this should hinge. And now we have a hinging dragon wing. And as you can see, we can prop it up like this, and it holds together. That is really impressive, honestly. I didn't think that. So now to make the design on top of this, we're simply gonna use some tiles. This is going to be semi-difficult. Just goes like this. Basically, we're just creating the ribs of the dragon wing to make it look more realistic. We just have to do one across here, another here, and then one right here. I got my little iPad right here, and I'm just crossing out the lines as I do them so I don't lose track. So like right here, you know, there's a 3 right there. And next to that, below that, there's a 4, like that. I'm also going between tiles and plates so that I have enough pieces to actually get this done, because we have to do this again on the other wing. And then we have to build the thing in the front of the wing. So I really don't want to run out of pieces, basically. So these are our wings. These are gonna go on both sides of the dragon. So this is how big it's going to be. Now we need to build the wing tips, so the parts that go up here. The wing tips are just gonna snap right onto the end here. So we need this big one to go right here, and the little one should be just about that size, actually. And then to actually connect the wing to the body, we'll just add a little hinge using Technic pieces on the end of this wing tip. Snap this onto here. And now we want to do a plate layer on top of this. Okay, so we got the first wing done. I'm just gonna take a measurement so that I can get the precise scale. That is 62 studs right there. And then for this one, 51. Cool, and now we know how big that's gonna be. We can take this and put it over here. Just look how giant that is. And here's the body, which is still being worked on. So now we just gotta build the other one. So now I'm just putting a couple 6x6 tiles on the wing to make it just look a little bit smoother. So now to install the So it's pretty clear now that the mechanism I put in place for the wings to flap is not going to work. So if we attach these here, I didn't think this through. Okay, if I just hold this up here for a sec. We just gotta figure out how to mount this using Technic. It may take a bit. Okay, so I did a little bit of rebuilding. To hold up these arms, I'm gonna have to resort to using a Metal Technic Lego axle from Metal Technic Parts. Okay, so yet again, I need to move these top connectors over here so we can balance this better, probably in the middle of the wing, but it will work. Now we'll just do the same thing on the other side and connect it using the same Technic parts and the metal beam, and we should have the wings done. In the meantime though, we can move on to building the tail and the neck. The neck and the tail are built out of these block pieces, which each have a spike on them. The neck is made of 5 of these, and the tail is made of 12. So basically we need to build 17 of these blocks, and find a way to attach them so that they can hinge up and down and sideways. We could probably just use ball joints, honestly. If we hinge these using ball joints like this, they don't really need to hold their position because we're not gonna have to like pose it up or anything. They just need to be
Positionable.
So that's 5 by 5. We need a few more brick layers above this first before we can add those because we want them to be in the very center, but that should work. So now we just have to build these up to be actual boxes. This is going good. I'm just so tired of pushing down bricks. My fingers are so sore. But we can do this. We just have to build this and then we have to build the legs.
So satisfying.
Now we have the tail all built up, and as you can see, the tail is movable, as you can tell. Can't ask for more, can't ask for better. You could, but I would say no. So we can attach this to the body. The last thing we need to build is the legs. It's already super ginormous, so who knows how big this is gonna be after this. Now each leg is made up of 3 different pieces that are distinctly different sizes and have to fit together something like this. And for the front leg, we have kind of the same thing except they're smaller pieces. But we do need to attach them to the connections we built on here. And for that, I had this idea. If this is our piece here, we want to use something like this and put axles into it, like that, and we can simply slide the legs on. Lock that together, and since the pressure on this is gonna be pushing it up, we shouldn't have any issues. So that should just hook right onto there. To attach this to our leg, all we gotta do is add a few of these pieces. Nice, now that should attach pretty firmly into our leg. Now, we just gotta build the leg. And the legs are pretty much all black, so we really don't have to worry about any color. We're gonna pop off the bottom, and then these will fit in these at an angle. So we just need to add some Technic bricks on the inside so we can actually connect those. If we add this, and we match this up, lock that in place. That should work, right? Cool, so now we have the shin connected to the thigh.
To make the sound effects for this work, I have a speaker. This is just a speaker I've been using. I put it in here, and then we seal it in. And then we just gotta plug this into our iPhone
And play sound effects.
and hopefully it should be pretty loud even with it sealed up in here.
All right, let's try that.
Hey.
So all we gotta do is charge it. That's actually pretty loud. So all we gotta do is charge it, put it in there,
And then we just plug in our phone like this, and we should be good to go.
and the final thing we have to do is assemble it all.
This is what it looks like unassembled. We just have to put all the pieces together.
And this project will be completely finished. I'm super nervous to do this.
Let's do this. Now it's time for the wings.
Oh no.
Here it is, the Lego Ender Dragon, complete with light up eyes and sound effects, which I'm going to turn on in just a second. But check this out, the detail is just incredible. This Ender Dragon turned out ginormous. Literally, if I were to build this at the regular scale, pixel for pixel, it would be double this size, so it wouldn't even fit in this room. This is just so cool. I was a little worried putting on the wings, but that turned out to work okay. It's a little flimsy, so I'm hoping it'll hold up, but it works. You can see the legs are back here. It's in a flying position. I also used some clear pieces to hold up the tail.
Alright, looks like it's almost 94 inches, so that's like 7 foot 10 inches. Wow. I had no idea how big it would be when I started designing it. Like, I thought it would be big, but not this big. Check it out.
Isn't that big?
That's awesome. That is so cool, Riley. So how many hours did it take you to do that?
About 18 and a half hours.
And it has sound effects. I'm about to put this
Speaker in. All we gotta do is turn on our speaker, open up this little section I kind of left open, and we start playing the noises. Sounds like it's flapping its wings and, you know, roaring.
human to dragon scale here. You can see just how huge this thing is. Today I'm gonna build a room entirely out of Lego, with Lego walls, a Lego floor, and even Lego furniture, which means I'm gonna need a lot of pieces. So here's my plan. First, we construct a 10 by 10 frame out of wood so the Lego walls will have something to hold them up. Next, we lay down base plates and build up 4 Lego wall panels out of white bricks on the inside of the frame to create our Lego room. And then all we have to do is fill it up with Lego furniture and we can test it out. First, we have to figure out how many pieces we're gonna need because I think this is going to be like my largest creation ever. My plan is to build a bunch of 1 by 1 squares out of Lego bricks. So this is like roughly 1 foot across here. So I just gotta build this up, then count the pieces, and then I can calculate roughly how much it's gonna cost just to build the walls. All right, for one wall, 22,000 Lego bricks. So I guess we're buying 80,000. And while we're waiting on parts to arrive, we can start building the frame for the room. There we go, we got the first wall. 3 more to go. 10 feet that way and 10 feet that way. And then our 1 foot sections of Lego will just go in here all the way across. The bricks from overseas just shipped. We gotta finish getting this room up first. Now we just gotta tack these together. Now that we finished the frame, we can go pick up the bricks that just got delivered all the way from Europe. These are the parts we're gonna use. It's about 80,000. There's so many. As you can see, these are all boxes full of Lego. And each one of these has about 600 bricks in it. As you can see, we also have the frame complete so we can start working on the inside. And the first step to actually building this as a Lego room is to lay down base plates all around the floor. That way we can actually build up the walls on top. Now if we grab some red 2x4s, so I can see them and don't step on them, I can start locking these together so that they're all square. This is one stud, and then if you just go out, that's the Lego room. So now that we've got the base plates laid out around the outside, the next step is to build the walls. So we just gotta sort out the bricks into bins, and then we can start building. So this here is our prototype panel, and as you can see, it has tiles and a few jumper plates on top so we can attach the next one, and it also has some Technic bricks so we can attach it to the wall. But let me build up another one out of just white so you can see how that's gonna work. We'll add our 2x2 there, and then 9 more back across. And then we just keep building it up and put the 4 Technic bricks at the 4 spots on the blueprints. And once we have it built up this high, which is 31 layers, we add 1 layer of plates, then we throw a jumper plate on each end, and then we just tile this in here. And there we have a 1 foot by 1 foot panel. And I can show you how we're actually gonna attach this. So if we put it up against the studs, you can see it will hit both studs. And all we're gonna do is put a tiny little perfect size screw inside of that Technic brick. And as you can see, that's flush in there. And then we just take our secret piece to cover it up and just push it in. And you can't even tell it's screwed in there. And then if we wanna take one out and like do a custom thing with our wall, all we gotta do, pop out those 4 pieces, unscrew the single panel, and pop it out from the other side. So just like Legos, it's a modular building system. And we're gonna do that on all of these walls. And that took around 10 minutes to build. So times 180, we're roughly gonna be here forever. I'm gonna see how many people I can get on this project because it is so big. This here, as you can see, is the corner piece, and it's all one chunk. And basically, this one will just sit right in the corner. And there's like 12 different types of these, and they all have different dimensions. There's like half panels, vertical half panels, half corners. I'm also developing my jig here, so as you can see, I got this little Lego ruler on this side that's gonna tell me how high I'm building. And this one takes just about double the time as a regular one. So I'm just building this up and actually overlapping all the bricks. In the designs, you can see everything overlaps by 2. And my fingers are literally killing me. And now, our panel is done. We make 26 of the half panels for the top, and then we have a ton of these basic panels all over here. This is Kanda. This is my sister. So what are we doing? Are you playing copyrighted music? Kanda.
It's my first time building Legos.
This is her first day. I think she's done like 5.
Shut up, there's like 8 there.
Good job, Kanda. Christian, what are we doing?
Fixing my mistake because I built a ton of them wrong. So these ones I built too wide, and then these ones are the ones that I've fixed. So I'm still trying to fix it.
We are making a lot of progress though. You guys are doing great.
We've been working on building these for 3 days, and so far, we have just over 120.
Kinda wanted to race to see who can make a panel the fastest. Just break it now.
I hope not. I just got them done this morning.
All you gotta do is snap it down.
I've snapped it down.
Why is it so greasy? Quit eating potato chips. Nice, dude. 13 minutes and 47 seconds.
Really?
I don't know. It was long.
All right, the final piece. And boom, that is 238 panels. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
And now we can finish putting together the walls for the room.
We already have 12 plates installed.
I don't know why, but this totally reminds me of Portal. We got a lot more panels to go, so I'm just gonna keep putting them on the walls.
And grow it out from this corner.
So now I have the first layer all the way around the Lego room done.
And this is where I left a little hole for the outlet in case I need to access power.
My hand's been like this for an hour. The nice thing about this entire room is that it's basically modular, so anything I want to replace, I can just pop out a couple panels, add like a TV or a shelf or whatever. And we're gonna be adding a bunch of cool stuff in this video, like furniture, a window, and art and stuff. It's gonna be super cool.
And with this piece here, the Lego walls are done. Check it out, you guys.
That was a lot of building, seriously. The last thing I want to do for these walls is just add a simple window using some Lego plastic pieces to make it actually look like a window.
You see, I used lots of Lego plastic glass pieces. And this thing is pretty sturdy, you know.
Now we get to build some Lego furniture for the inside of the room. And I want to build a few different pieces of furniture, starting with a Lego desk. So to build a desk, I think first we lay out the top of it. I'm gonna use tan for the color of the top, and then we'll make the rest of the desk black. And then we'll grab black bricks and go all the way around the outside to lock these together. So now to actually make this stable, I'm gonna use Technic bricks and lock them together to each other, and on the next layer, we'll actually go across like this, so we'll create kind of like a mesh pattern.
And then to lock these Technic bricks together, I like to use these little Technic push pins. You just push it in from the outside, so it makes it a whole lot easier. We'll probably need a bunch of these all the way across. So now that I've recertified the exterior, I'm putting on plates,
Because I think that'll really strengthen it up. Check this out. This is a desktop. Like seriously, that's perfect. Now all we gotta do is build a drawer for one side and then the legs, and this will be our desk. So we'll start with plates for the drawer, and then we'll just snap it up against the top of the thing. I'm basically going to build the drawer inside of this area that will slide in and out. It's gonna basically be a regular drawer, but it'll have a hidden feature. All right, so now we have the drawer, which can slide in and out. It has a little stopper right here and here, so it doesn't actually like fall out, right? Theoretically, we just snap it down on here. And now we can just build up some legs in the actual room and set this on top of it.
and I think for the shape, I'm gonna go with this because it's all made of 2x4s and it looks like a square. And all we gotta do is heft this thing up on top of there.
Theoretically, it should be all the right measurements.
Like that. And that should snap in at several places. And there we go. We have a working Lego desk. And the coolest part about this drawer is when you open it, as you can see, it can hold stuff. But there's also a hidden feature. You see this little bit right here. There's this, and if you push it with your finger now, it pops open the secret compartment. Check it out. And then as soon as you close the drawer, you see, it pushes it back closed, this thing resets, and now,
Come on, that's like a really dope feature, right? This looks really great.
and now it can even build stuff for the top of it and actually use it as a desk.
Next, I want to build the world's first Lego bed. At least I think it is. Which means we're gonna need a lot of bricks. The plan for the bed is to build up a Lego frame using Technic bricks to lock it together, and then build up a bunch of legs under it to make it as sturdy as possible. Because I want to be able to actually sleep on this thing. So I may have just had a pretty genius idea. As you can see, I used white base plates all the way down, and I was thinking all I'd have to do is flip over these base plates because there's no studs on this side, which would make it like 10 times more comfortable, and then I just build the Lego bed upside down. Now this does present a couple challenges, but the benefits outweigh the challenges. So I think I'm gonna go with that and just continue doing what I was doing, building this up, then we'll just flip it over to actually create the bed. So I've gone through on the entire first layer, and as you can see, put everything in. I even locked in every other one with 2 Technic bricks. And once we stack these on here, what we'll do is we'll just put pins through and hammer it all down and put them across like that. That should create a nice grid that should hopefully be pretty strong. I say hopefully because I'm still not sure if this is gonna work, and I'm getting more worried by the minute that we're gonna run out of parts. But hopefully, we won't.
So if my fingers weren't tired already,
They're definitely gonna be after this.
so now I'm adding another layer of bricks so that each one is overlapped by at least 2 studs. That should make it really, really strong. So now that we have about 5 layers of this built up, we need to build the Technic beams out of bricks all the way across this way.
And for these, instead of using the push pins, I'm gonna use these little black pins so I can assemble them together without having them attached. And now we got all these, and we can snap them on the bottom of the bed and make it stronger.
I think so far we're around 5,000 pieces into this build. These are where the legs are gonna go, so I'm putting these brick pillars underneath so that they won't bend the plates. Now that we got the base built up and it's super sturdy, we're gonna put on a bunch of these Lego plates. And we've got a bunch more. Pre-order my new track now on SoundCloud, Riley's Greatest Hits.
So this is the top of the leg that I'm going to build. As you can see, it has these 2 little pathways, so this will intersect with the brick walls that go across on the bottom of the bed. Let's build this up a bit. Okay, so that ought to work. And the bed will come up to here, because it's 5 bricks on top of the insert. Now to replicate this 13 more times until we have enough, and this should be pretty strong. With 14 of them, okay? It'll be strong. Now that we have the legs and the bed frame built up, we just have to attach them together in place.
So here's the thing, the bed frame weighs like 100 pounds, and we have to fit it perfectly on top of 14 legs. The problem is there's not enough room in this corner for 2 guys to just set it on top of the legs. So I have to improvise. The plan is to use a support rig to actually lower the bed down onto the legs. And then I'll have to get under it so it goes down perfectly and position each one so they snap into place. All right, so I got all 14 legs installed, and now I'm gonna take these spacers and put them around them.
That way we can actually put the bed in place and lift it up straight from there.
Now we can plug that up and we know exactly where it goes. Oh no.
Comment down below if you think I should do giant Lego dominoes. Before I actually put the bed in place, I want to add one more piece of furniture. So I laid out some 16 by 16 plates here so we can build up a simple nightstand to go next to the bed. But we'll build it out of brown bricks because we're kind of running out of tan. And then I'm just gonna keep building this up about this high and then throw another shelf on that's basically the same thing. Use some Technic to make it strong, and this should just sit right on there. And since it kind of looks like a chest right now, we need to actually build 4 legs for the bottom. Another cool feature I want to have in this room is a fish bowl with a fish that actually moves. So I had this idea, if we build up a little Lego fish, we can actually connect it to this clear lift arm, and then to make it spin, we can use a worm gear setup, so the motor goes in one side like this, and we turn this on, and then connect our fish, the worm gear spins, just like that. We just need to hide this underneath the fish bowl.
Mysterio.
Dude, nice. Now as you can see, we also built a headrest for the bed, and we can put this right behind it. That's unfortunate. And now we can finally install the bed into place.
So now we're gonna lift this up and actually put the legs under. I gotta do this quick or it's gonna come down. This one goes right here. I added these markers, but I keep knocking them over, so they're not extremely helpful. Okay. And then next, it's just so sketch, oh my gosh. Oh, that was scary. Now, just give me like an inch, okay? I can't see. So, it's very cramped down here. My arms are sore, but what I'm doing is just setting these in here because they have to be right, just right. Can you lower it a bit? Ah, stupid. Okay, we're almost there. Half of them are in, and the rest of them are being stubborn. Was that it? That's scary. All right, we're down. Now I just gotta wiggle out. Ow, go cramp. Oh gosh. Ow. I'm literally stuck right now. I can't, I will die before I get out of here. I'm almost there. Okay. Wow, that doesn't look half bad.
All right, guys, here we go. The room is finally finished. I can't wait to show you. Check it out.
Almost 100,000 Lego pieces made up this giant Lego room. We got a curtain for the door.
I got this cool Lego blanket here. This is official Lego, so it does count. And then I got my little fishbowl. There's a little button on the back right there. And you can see it, the fish actually swims around in it, which is a really cool feature. That's just on a simple little track with the worm gear down there, so he swims around. It's just cool things like this. You can build whatever you want. We got our window right there, as you can see. That goes to outside. Put sets in here. I got the Pac-Man set with the cool feature. That's really fun. I got my Lego car, a little bird, the hidden secret door we put in here. It's stuff like that that makes this Lego room just like super cool. I even did test out popping out one of these wall panels, and that worked really well. So I was able to customize it to put the Lego space set here.
Literally, I can add whatever I want to it. That's what makes it so cool, is it's modular, and I can keep this series going and just keep building stuff on my channel and then adding it to the room for the video. Oh, I forgot to show you the best part too.
There's Lego slippers by the door for people who don't want to be standing on Lego, so you put those on. You can walk in here on the world mat, that is a work in progress still, with your Lego slippers. You can sit on the bed.
And I did actually lay down on the bed.
Full send. Oh. That's a bad sign.
I do want to do an overnight in here. It just needs more work before I can sleep on it without feeling like I'm gonna die. I'm super happy with how this turned out, you guys. Huge thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you check out one of these two videos popping up on your screen. Peace out from the Lego room.